Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. We're to Congregation HaYam. I'm here with a partner, our student Rabbi Mayan Lev, and we're thrilled that you're joining us, whether you're here live in our sanctuary or whether you're joining us through our live stream. But we're thrilled that we're able to do Shabbat together. Tonight, we're not doing Shabbat as usual. Tonight, we're going to be doing an Israel Shabbat. And tonight we'll be having a special service for Israel. And we hope that it will be enjoyable, but also meaningful as well. And we're going to start with Nigun Bialik, a song that was not written by or composed by HaYam Nachman Bialik, but was considered his favorite nigun, his favorite melody without words. And HaYam Nachman Bialik is sort of the national poet of Israel, and the in Hebrew. So, but he also wrote Yiddish as well. But we're going to begin now with just singing that nigun. Ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da da da. Ya da 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 ya da ya da 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 ya da ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da da. And let's read together. Unfortunately, we do not have an online version of tonight's service, so hopefully you'll just enjoy without feeling the need to go to work. But the rest of us are going to work, and we're going to, on page 1, read together what Israel is to us. Please join me. For us, Israel is not only a piece of geography, however hallowed. Israel is a state of mind. It is history. It is theology. It is memory. It is Jewish tears and Jewish triumphs. It is Jewish anguish and Jewish ecstasy. It is childhood legends and biblical verses. It is the direction and the subject of our prayers. It is exile and homecoming. It is a burning temple and a new flag at the United Nations. It is Tisha B'Av and Yom HaAtzmaut, the 9th of Av and the 5th of Iyar. Israel is a people restored and hope reborn. We hope to celebrate that this evening. This evening, there will not be any Divrei Torah. There won't be any, whatever we feel about this or that policy, about settlements or not, is not relevant to this evening. This evening is a celebration to show our pride in and love for Israel, a basic necessity for the Jewish people. May it live forever. And we're going to begin our celebration with Hatikva. So there is an Israeli flag in the room behind Mayan. If you can do so comfortably, please rise as we sing together the anthem of Israel, Hatikva.
נפש יהודי הומייה ולפתי מזרח קדימה, עין לציון סופיה. עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, בארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים.
You may be seated.
For those who have the Israel booklet with them, we're going to turn now in the booklet to page 2. I'm going to be chanting the verses about the land and the Brit on the top of the page in Hebrew. This is from Bereshit chapter 13. And after the Hebrew, we're going to read it together in English. Vadonai amar el Avram, אחרי היפרד לוט מימו, שנא עיניך וראה מן המקום אשר אתה שם, צפונה ונגבה וקדמה וימה, כי את כל הארץ אשר אתה רואה לך אתננה, ולזרעך עד עולם. קום התהלך בארץ לאורכה ולרוחבה, כי לך אתננה. Read those words again together in English. And God promised Avram, after Lot separated from him, raise up, if you will, your eyes. From the very spot where you are, look out to the north, to the south, to the east, and to the west. For the land which you see, I offer to you and your descendants forever. Arise, walk through the land, its length and its breadth, for I give it to you. We're going to join now together in the words of the song Im Tirtzu. It's on your handout, the very bottom of page 1. Im Tirtzu, Im Tirtzu, Ein zo agada, Ein zo agada, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו,
Eretz
ציון וירושלים תרצו, אם תרצו, אין זו אגדה, אין זו אגדה, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו,
Eretz
ציון
Zion
וירושלים. You know, when I visited my grandparents in Israel last summer, we went to a lot of gift shops, a lot of great Judaica stores. My grandmother is an artist herself who could sell at these stores. And we came across something that had an inscription on it in English. And the words were, if you will it, it is no dream. And my grandparents speak very good English. They lived in America for at least half of their life. My grandmother said to me, why do you like this? And I said, Im tirtzu. And she says, what do you mean? Well, I said, isn't that the translation of Im tirtzu? And she's like, well, I guess I've never heard it translated that way in my life. And I said, in America, that's everywhere when you look at it in American Judaism. It's just an interesting tidbit from my summer vacation. We're going to the bottom half now of page 2. And Alma, do you want to lead us responsively in the English, beginning with the words, the people? Yeah, page 2. You can come up to the front if you like, or you can stay where you are.
The people of Israel and of Israel bound together. This promise that was made by the Holy One is enough. God's promise.
Yeah, keep going, please.
God's promise to Abraham and Sarah.
On that day, Adonai made a covenant with Abram, declaring, to your offspring I give this land.
Day. God's promise. Isaac and Rebekah.
I will assign all these lands to you and your offspring, fulfilling the oath that I swore to your father Abraham and your mother Sarah.
God's promise to Jacob, Rachel, and Leah.
The ground on which you are lying, I will assign to you and your offspring.
And you can keep going on the next page, Alma.
God's promise to the Israelites in Egypt.
I will
Bring you into the land which I lifted my very own hand, thereby swearing to give it to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, and I will indeed give it to you as an inheritance. I am Adonai.
God's promise to our people through
I will restore my people Israel, and they shall rebuild ruined cities and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink their wine. They shall till gardens and eat their fruit. And I will plant them upon their soil, and they shall nevermore be uprooted from that soil, which I gave them, declares Adonai your God. Thank you, Alma, for leading us through that journey through the Tanakh. We began with Bereshit, Genesis, and we ended with Book of Amos, so we really covered a lot of ground there. We're going now to the bottom of page 3. This is actually from the Haftarah that we chanted here only a few weeks ago, it seems, from Ezekiel. This is another set of verses from the Tanakh about God's promise to us about Israel. I'm going to chant the Hebrew, and then we will read together the English on the bottom. לכן, הנבא ואמרת עליהם, כה אמר אדוני אלוהים, הנה אני פותח את קברותיכם, והעליתם אתכם מקברותיכם עמי, והבאתי אתכם אל אדמת ישראל, ונתתי רוחי בכם, וחייתם, והנחתי אתכם על אדמתכם, ודבר עליהם, כה אמר אדוני אלוהים, הנה אני לוקח את בני ישראל מבין הגויים אשר הלכו שם, וקיבצתי אותם מסביב, והבאתי אותם אל אדמתם. We read together in English on the bottom of page 3. Thus declares the ever-living God, I am opening your graves, and I shall lift you from your graves. O my people, I shall bring you to the soil of Israel, and I shall place my spirit within you, and you shall live. And I shall place you on your very own soil. Thus declares the ever-living God, I am taking the Israelites from among the peoples where they have gone, and I shall gather them from all around. I shall bring them to their soil. We're on page 4 now. Shir Hamalot. We sing this once in a while when we get to have a really special oneg on special holidays. It's also said on Shabbat, and it's actually about Israel. So we're going to sing it together, top of page 4. I'm always forgetting, which tune that we wanted to do. I think it's the normal one, right, Rabbi?
Yes.
Thank you. Shir hamalot b'shuv Adonai, et shivat Zion hayinu kechom. Az yemale schor pinu, ulshonenu rina. Az yomru v'agoyim, הגדיל אדוני לעשות עמנו, הגדיל אדוני לעשות עמנו, היינו שמחים. שוב אדוני את שביתנו, כאפיקים בנגב, הזורעים בדמעה בחינה יחצרו, הלוך ילכו בכו נושא משך הזרע, יבוא בחינה נושא אלומותיו. It's one of the more touching English translations to me. We're going to read it on the bottom together, page 4. When the Holy One returned captive Zion, yes, we talked as dreamers. Then our mouths shall be filled with laughter, our tongues with jubilant songs. Then shall other peoples spoke, the Holy One has done the grandest thing with them. Indeed, the Holy One did do the grandest thing with us. We rejoiced. So, Nu, restore our fortunes again, Holy One. Like the waterways in the Negev, let those who now sow in tears reap with unbound joy. Though one can only go around weeping now while bearing seed, let us as one come in joy, bearing sheaves.
Shkoach. We're going to continue, but I just want to remark on how amazing the journey that Alma and Rabbi Mayan led us in from the time of Abraham, depending on when Abraham is lived, let's call it 2300 BCE, through Ezekiel, who lived in Babylonia. He was part of the exile of Babylonia. So he lived and wrote this maybe 570 BCE. And now we had Shir HaMa'alot from the psalmists that was much later. So you have essentially 2,000 years up to this point or so of promises of God, very consistent promises to the Jewish people that there is a land that is ours. And it is something that has continued to be the focal point of our prayers, as the first reading mentioned. And lo and behold, Ein Zo Agadah, as we sing in Hatikva and as we sang in In Tirtzu from Debbie Friedman's song, it's not a dream if we work towards it. And bless the Chalutzim, the pioneers who came on successive waves in the late 1800s and early 1900s to build a land of Israel. And eventually it became a state. But even without it, from the point that they went back with determination and love to create a community there was an Israel. So we just want to celebrate that. And it teaches us that we don't have time to waste. We need to make our time count. So we're going to count the Omer now. So if you can go to your handout, the Omer is the period of time bridging Passover, which we just finished recently, to Shavuot, the holiday that comes 7 weeks later. So it is traditional to rise if you can do so comfortably. If you're at home, you should have this handout, and it's on the front page of the handout. Please, let's join together. Our personal journeys in life are marked by enslavements and liberations, revelations and promised lands. Just as we mark the approach of significant moments in our own lives, so too we count such days in the life of our people. We pause to recall our ancestors' bond with the soil, a bond so strong that throughout 2,000 years of exile, they carried a vision of a return to that very land. They remembered their dependence upon the land and their gratitude for the annual harvest of grain. So too, we give thanks to God for renewing for us a year of life and blessing. Alavai. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. We praise you, Adonai, our God, the wellspring of eternity, who presents us with opportunities for holiness, calling us to this counting of the Omer. HaYom shisha asar yom shnei shavuot v'shnei yamim la'omer. Today begins day 16, that is 2 weeks and 2 days of the Omer period. You may be seated. And we're going to continue by moving into the medieval period, and we're on page 5. With one of my favorite poems from one of my favorite poets, Yehuda Halevi, from the Golden Age of Spain. And his poetry really changed the face of Hebrew poetry. He used new meters that he developed, and he took themes and meters and structures from Arabic poetry, but he also created a new genre of poetry called Shirei Eretz Yisrael, poems of the land of Israel, with yearning and great love. So I'm going to read in Hebrew and then we'll read it in English. Libi b'mizrach v'anochi b'sof ma'arav. Eich etama et asher ochal v'echya arav. Eicha ashalem nidarai ve'esarai ba'od Sion b'chaval adom v'ani b'chaval arav. Yikal beinai azov called tu sefarad kamo yikar beinai ra'ot afrot devir nacharav. Together, my heart is in the east, and I am at the far end of the west. What can I taste? How can I taste what I eat? How can it be sweet? How can I fulfill my pledges and oaths? While Zion is bound in Edom's ropes, and I in Arabia's shackles. It would be nothing for me to abandon all the goodness of Spain, just as it would be precious for my eyes to see the dust of the desolate temple. He, of course, his heart is in the east in Israel. He's in the west at the edge of Spain. This is well before people knew about the Americas. Is the golden age of Spain from 9th, 10th centuries till about the 12th, 13th century or so. For hundreds of years, Jews and Muslims lived in peace because the Caliphate of Iberia broke off from the Caliphate in Baghdad, and they had their own way of doing things, which was a way of inclusion. They called it a convivencia. Con means together, bibir means to live. It's a living together where Jews and Muslims went to garden parties, drank wine, did poetry, did science, did medicine, did philosophy together. Their mysticism influenced our mysticism influenced theirs, etc. Yehuda Halevi himself made Aliyah. And we know for sure that he got to Egypt, beloved, but he went on. It's a little unclear. There was a shipwreck, and we know he had returned, and he was supposed to leave again. We don't know if he'd left or not, but tradition says that he actually made it to Israel. He made it to Jerusalem and went down to kiss the ground, and he was attacked and killed by a marauder trying to rob him as he kissed the ground of of the beloved Israel that he yearned for so passionately and beautifully in this and in many other poems. We're going to continue, and we are now going to be on page 6, and we're going to jump now to the beginning of the 20th century to Theodor Herzl. And let's read responsively. I believe that a wondrous breed of Jews will spring up from the earth.
Jews will rise again. The Jews who will it shall achieve their own states.
We shall live at last as free men and women on our own soil, and in our homes die peacefully.
The world will be freed by our liberty, enriched by our wealth, magnified by our greatness.
And whatever we attempt there for our own benefit will resonate powerfully and for the good of humanity. Recall in 1902 the rise of pogroms in Eastern Europe especially, but Jews really were oppressed in most of Europe. And Herzl said, I am going to help make sure this happens. And in 50 years, there'll be a Jewish state. He was a little bit off. 1948, it became a state, and not 1951. He came in ahead of time. Most contractors do not do that, but Theodor Herzl got in ahead of time. Baruch Hashem. We continue our service.
We're on page 7, song Kachol Velavan, the colors of the Israeli flag. כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
זה צבע שלי.
זה צבע שלי.
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
צבעי אדמתי.
צבעי אדמתי.
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
זה צבע שלי. כל ימיי לעולם, כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כמו שיר, כמו חלום,
כמו שיר, כמו חלום,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
תקווה לשלום,
תקווה לשלום,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
זה צבע שלי, כל ימיי לעולם. כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
חרמון וכנרת,
חרמון וכנרת,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
ליבי מזמרת,
ליבי מזמרת,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
זה צבע שלי, כל ימיי לעולם. כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
שמיים ושלג,
שמיים ושלג,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
זה פלא ופלא,
זה פלא ופלא,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
זה צבע שלי, כל ימיי לעולם. Last one. כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
אין צבע אחר,
אין צבע אחר,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
אני רק חוזר,
אני רק חוזר,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
זה צבע שלי, כל ימיי לעולם. Looks like the outfit checks out.
Yeah, blue and white it is. And we're going to continue. Page 8 for the words of Theodor Herzl. Were I to summarize the Congress in Basel in one sentence, it would be, in Basel, I founded the state of the Jews. Were I to say this out loud, everyone would laugh at me. Perhaps in another 5, at most in 50, they will all agree. The state has already been founded in the very essence of its being, in the desire of the people to be a state.
Read responsibly on page 8 at the bottom. In the early 1978s, a new arrival at the Lod airport explained his torturous wait for permission to emigrate to the Jewish state.
How long did it take you to get out of Romania?
10 years. He shook his head. 10 years of petitions, refusals, repetitions, red tape, more petitions, harassment, losing my job, and confiscation of all my possessions.
Wow. So you waited 10 years to come to Israel?
No, he replied through wet eyelashes. I waited 2,000 years to come to Israel.
We continue with Shuv Lo Nelech. Oh, no, we have another reading at the top of page 9. And I will read. In Rachel's tomb, between Bethlehem and Jerusalem on one wall, there is a mosaic which contains the words of Jeremiah 31 on the weeping of our matriarch Rachel, and on God's comforting her with a promise of redemption. Please join me. A voice is heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping, Rachel weeping for her children. She refuses to be comforted for her children who are gone. Thus declares the Holy One. Keep your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears. There is hope for your future, promises God. Your children will return to their own borders. The mosaic is signed. This was made by one of her children who has returned. That passage from Isaiah is part of the Haftorah that we read on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. So it's a very, very meaningful passage and well known. In the song Shuv Lo Nelech from Effie Netzer, who is one of the more famous band leaders and songwriters in Israeli musical history, along with Shmuel Rosen at the bottom of page 9, we're going to be singing that song now. Re'i avak drachim ole me'ir shalem v'rechev habarzel shoet el moli reich v'am shalem mabit bach kecholem Hanvei plada hagod me'al kivrech Re'i Rachel re'i ribon olam Re'i Rachel hem shavu ligulam Re'i Rachel Re'i ribon olam, Re'i Rachel hem shavu likulam. Behold the dust of roads from old Jerusalem, and chariots of steel that race into your town. We're in your fields, Rachel, the fields of Bethlehem, while silver wings above are circling all around. Behold, Rachel, behold, the night will not be back. Behold, Rachel, behold, your children have come back. Re'i Rachel, re'i ribon olam. Re'i Rachel, shavu likulam.
We're on page 10 now at the top. Going to read this by A.D. Gordon, Observations. A.D. Gordon was famous Zionist associated with the Labor Party. He said, "This is a way of life which requires a radical change, a complete revolution in our galut attitudes and our galut way of life, exile. This demand applies to every detail of our individual lives. Every one of us must remake ourselves so that the unnatural, defective, shattered person within us can become a natural, wholesome, authentic human being, so that our galut life, fashioned by foreign influences, hindering each of our natural development and self-realization, may yield to one that allows each of us to reach our fullest potential in every way."
And continuing again with Aleph Dalet Gordon at the bottom of page 10. We must draw our inspiration from our land, from living on our own soil, from our labor. We must prevent foreign influences from affecting us. We must seek to establish in Eretz Yisrael a new recreated Jewish people, not a colony of diaspora Jewry, not a continuation of diaspora life in a new form. We aim to make Eretz Yisrael the motherland of world Jewry. When Aleph Dalet Gordon came to Israel, he was, I think, 63. But he did the work of pioneering work in the fields all day long, and with the younger guys, the younger pioneers, and then was at the campfire singing and dancing, and then talking about philosophy, and then writing till late at night. He was an inspiration, sort of like Tolstoy was, a very similarly the same kind of story. We're going to continue, and we're on page 11 with Shiro Shel Abba. Shiro Shel Abba is a song by the great Naomi Shemer, and the song, as the refrain uses Yibaneh Hamikdash, let's build the holy place. And in traditional Judaism, when you think of the holy place, you think of the holy temple as being Yibaneh Beit HaMikdash, but it's not Beit HaMikdash, it's just the Mikdash. And her verses suggest that the Mikdash isn't the temple, it's the whole land of Israel that's holy and needs building up. Yibaneh HaMikdash, let's build up the land of Israel. Im Bahar Chatzavta Even Lehakim Binyan Chadash. Bahar Chatzavta Even Lehakim Binyan Chadash. Shelo lo l'shavach Chatzavta Levinyan Chadash. Ki min ha'avanim ha'elu yibaneh hamikdash. Yibaneh, Yibaneh, Yibaneh HaMikdash. Yibaneh, Yibaneh, Yibaneh HaMikdash. Let's do the third verse. Im lo sharta li shir adayin shir ali mizmor chadash. Shehu aktik miyayin umatok matok midvash. Shir shehu atik miyayin umatok midvash. Shir shehu kaven alpayin uvachol yom chadash. Yibaneh, Yibaneh, Yibaneh HaMikdash. Yibaneh, Yibaneh, Yibaneh HaMikdash. Let's do the chorus one more time. Yibaneh, Yibaneh, Yibaneh HaMikdash. Yibaneh, Yibaneh, Yibaneh HaMikdash. And we're going to continue. We're on page 12 with a prayer, an Al Hanisim prayer, especially for the state of Israel's independence and birthday. And Phil, would you like to lead us?
On page 12.
We are on page 12, yes.
In the days, is that right?
We thank you at the top.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that. We thank you for the heroism, for the triumph, for the liberation, for the miracle that our ancestors in other days and in our time witnessed.
Al Hanisim, the Al HaPurkan, the Al HaGvurot, the Al HaTeshuot, the Al HaMelchamot, she'asita la'avotenu, bayamim hahem, uvazman hazeh.
In the days when your people were returning to their borders at the time when we were revived in our land, as in the days of old, the gates to the land of our ancestors were closed before those who were fleeing the sword.
When enemies from within the land, together with 7 neighboring nations, sought to annihilate your people, you in your great mercy stood by them.
You defended them and vindicated them. You gave them the courage to meet their foes, to open the gates to those seeking refuge, and to free the land of its armed invaders.
You again delivered the many into the hands of the few. You have indeed wrought great victories, a miraculous deliverance for your people Israel, to this day, revealing your glory to all the world. Together in the Hebrew, Sos tasis Sion, b'kibutz baneha, letocha besimcha. Baruch atah Adonai, misameach Sion, bevaneha. And Phil, you want to finish the English?
May Zion rejoice as her people return to her in joy. We praise you, Adonai, who has caused Zion to rejoice with her people, her children.
Thank you, Yasher Koach. Beautiful bracha. And that bottom Sos Tasis, you may recognize as being one of the Sheva brachot that's recited under the chuppah at a wedding. And what a beautiful blessing to be recited, that the children are rejoicing with Sion, though their Sion is thought of as symbolic of the Jewish people. And here in the context of Israel Independence Day, it's thought of as the land of Israel, if you will. We're going to sing Al Hanisim briefly, so please join me at the top of the page for the other Hebrew passage, which is a passage also sung on Hanukkah and Purim, as well as Israel Independence Day, because all 3 holidays have in common that there was a great enemy who was mighty and numerous, who attacked or sought to annihilate the Jewish people. In the time of Purim, it was Haman. You can make a noise if you want. And thank you. And in the time of Hanukkah, it was Antiochus the 4th. And of course, as the prayer, without being specific, states, 7 of the surrounding countries attacked Israel on the day Israel became a country. And it really took into 1949. The war went on, and only until later did Ralph Bunche lead the negotiations toward an armistice. Let's sing together Al Hanisim for that miracle as well. Al Hanisim, v'al HaPurkan, v'al HaGvurot, v'al HaTeshuot, v'al HaMelchamot, she'asita lavotenu, bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Al Hanisim, v'al HaPurkan, v'al HaGvurot, v'al HaTeshuot, v'al HaMelchamot, she'asita lavotenu, bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. We're going to be doing Kaddish shortly, but in anticipation of Kaddish, Let me state that this Shabbat will be recalling the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the passing of the following members of our HaYam family, whose memories will be deeply recalled as their yahrzeits are commemorated. They include Regina Margolis, mother-in-law of Judy Margolis; Irvin Klein, father of Judy Leventhal; May Schoenfeld, stepmother of Lois Lebman; Louis Fennick, stepfather of Elaine Hainig. And of course, we're going to remember all those martyrs and pioneers and those members of the Haganah, the Palmach, the Israel Defense Forces, all those who died so that Israel could be, and we recall as well, all the victims of terrorist acts over the last decades. In memoriam, before we recite Kaddish, we're going to be reciting specifically for the State of Independence. We're going to be doing this reading from Eileen Block on page 13, responsively. In the first 49 years of the State of Israel, 18,538 soldiers have died. Today, we commemorated them. One of them was our cousin.
Exactly 11 a.m. on the day before Yom Ha'atzmaut, a siren sounds throughout Israel. It is heard in every city, town, hamlet, village, moshav, kibbutz, and yeshuv. No one escapes.
The siren is relatively short, only 2 minutes, but it is the longest sound that any citizen of Israel hears. Each person has precisely 2 minutes to remember.
Remember the fallen father, son, brother, or sister. Remember the cousin, fiancé, friend. Remember the last words uttered, the last smile, the last embrace.
When the shofar ran out tonight in the synagogue to celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut, I was drawn back to that day in Elul 3 years ago, when I was being called to repentance and to bury a young, beautiful, brave man.
Yes, I will be awakened. Yes, I will call myself to repentance. Yes, I will be grateful to God for granting us the right to live in this land and to celebrate 49 years of independence.
But mostly I will remember the one cousin and 18,537 other Israelis who fell in the service of their country.
I understand that it is in their death that I have been granted the privilege, honor, and responsibility to live in this land.
So as those who have yahrzeits to observe, let all of us hold in our hearts and remember what a great privilege, honor, and responsibility the state of Israel is and the welfare of our sisters and brothers there. Will those reciting Kaddish please rise at this time and turn to page 15? And if you're reciting, you're welcome to join me now. Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divara Hirute v'Yamlich Malchute B'Chayechon uV'Yomechon uV'Chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala uV'Zaman Kariv v'Imaru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Li'alam Ol Alamei Alamaya. Yit Barach v'Yishtabach. V'yit Pa'ar v'yit Romam v'yit Naseh. V'yit Hadar v'yit Aleh v'yit Halal. Shemei Dekucha Barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'yim. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated.
With that, Mourner's Kaddish said, for all that we are currently mourning, and also, as Rabbi said, for those who fell to uphold the state of Israel, and also to give birth to it, you know. So with that in mind, we come to the words of David Ben Gurion on page 16 at the top, often known as the first prime minister of Israel. He said in his book, Rebirth and Destiny, "We do not ask for the land of Israel for the sake of ruling over the Arabs, nor seek a market to sell Jewish goods produced in the diaspora. It is a homeland that we seek. We're going to cast off the curse of the exile, attach ourselves to the soil, that source of quickening, creativeness, and health, and renew our native life. The moral content of Zionism and its necessary practical objects demand a policy of rapprochement and mutual understanding toward the Palestinian Arabs in economics, enlightenment, and politics."
Golda Meir at the bottom of the page from a speech she gave on Pesach 1970. "I want my children to live in an Israel that is part and parcel of this entire area. But I do not want them to live in an Israel that will always be complimented as the only democratic state there. I want Israel to be part of a highly developed Middle East with much cooperation between its peoples. Each people maintains its individual characteristics, yet lives together. Above all, I hope that Israel will become the ideal just society of which we dreamed."
We're going to continue along those lines of peace in Israel and the Middle East and the world on page 17 with the words of Yehuda Amichai, the great Israeli poet. "An Arab shepherd is searching for his goat on Mount Zion, and on the opposite hill I am searching for my little boy. An Arab shepherd and a Jewish father, both in their temporary failure, our two voices meet above the Sultan's pool in the valley between us. Neither of us wants the boy or the goat to get caught in the wheels of the Chad Gadya machine. Afterward we found them among the bushes, and our voices came back inside us, laughing and crying. Searching for a goat or for a child has always been the beginning of a new religion in these mountains."
May the new religion be one of peace.
Amen.
Tali Sorek, 13-year-old in Beersheba. "I had a box of colors, shining bright and gold. I had a box of colors, some warm, some very cold. I had no red for the blood of wounds. I had no black for orphans' grief. I had no white for dead faces and hands. I had no yellow for burning sands. But I had orange for the joy of life, and I had green for buds and nests, and I had blue for bright, clear skies, and I had pink for dreams and rest. So I sat down and painted." We're going to continue on page 18 with Shir L'Shalom, the great hymn to peace from Yair Rosenblum and Yankala Rotblit. This was the song that Yitzhak Rabin was singing when he has a special resonance and sadness for me. But its point about peace, singing for peace and doing resonance. לשמש לעלות, לבוקר להאיר, חזקה שבתפילות אותנו לא תחזיר. מי אשר קבע נרות ובעפר nidman bechimar lo ya'aro lo ya'iro lechan anish otanu lo yiram l'shiv mibor tachtit afel kan lo yo'ilu lo shirei hanitzachon v'lo shirei halel lachein rak shiru shir shalom al tilchashu tefillah lachein rak shiru shir shalom al b'tzaka gdola shiru shir shalom al tilchashu tefillah lachein rak shiru shir shalom pizza kagdola. Continue words of Mike Royko. Some of you may remember he was a newspaper columnist, I think for Chicago Sun-Times. He wrote, "When I look at a world map, I sometimes wonder what the insane fuss in the Middle East is all about. If I close and squint my eyes, I can find a country that is about 8,000 square miles. That's Israel. To give you an idea how small that is, you could take more than 30 Israels and put them together, and the whole thing would still be smaller than Texas. There may be counties, even ranches in Texas that are bigger. And then consider the population. New York is much bigger. So are London, Istanbul, Bombay, and Tokyo. You could put 3 times the population of Israel in Mexico City. We're really talking dinky. Why, during any really cold winter, you can find more Jews in South Florida. But if you want to talk big, just unsquint your eyes and look at some of those countries near Israel, those that have been trying to squash their tiny neighbor since 1948.
On top of 19 now, the words of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. I think it is necessary to say that what is basic and what is needed in the Middle East is peace. Peace for Israel means security, and we must stand with all our might to protect its right to exist, its territorial integrity. Israel is one of the great outposts of democracy in the world, and a marvelous example of what can be done, how desert land can be transformed into an oasis of decency and democracy.
Albert Memmi, the great Jewish Tunisian writer. Israel has been a doubtful wager. All that we can do now is win it. It is a hole in the wall, and now it must be defended. Henceforth, we can no longer refuse to participate. Our people's destiny is riding on this. If Israel did not exist, it would have to be created. If Israel should disappear, it would have to be recreated. Israel is our only way out, our only real card, and our last historical chance. And all the rest is diversion.
Meaningful words. Bottom of page 19, the words of Carl Shapiro. He's an American poet, Jewish, definitely known if you know your American poetry or Jewish poetry. When I see the name of Israel high in print, the fences crumble in my flesh. I sink deep in a western chair and rest my soul. I took the stranger clear to the blue depths of his unclouded eye. I say my name aloud for the first time, unconsciously.
Continue with Eretz from another great Israeli songwriter Shaika Paikov. Shaika's a endearing term for Yeshayahu. Shaika is a nickname. Join me. Eretz, 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 Eretz Techol Einav, V'la Shemesh L'Kidvash V'Chalav, Eretz Ba Noladnu, Eretz Ba Nichye, V'Neshev Ba Yeh Masha Yeh, Eretz Shenohav Ilanu Ein Va'av, Eretz Shel Ha'am, Eretz Le'alam, Eretz Ba Noladu, Eretz Ba Nichye, Yeh Masha Yeh, Eretz Shenohav Ilanu Ein Va'av, Eretz Shel Ha'am, Eretz Le'alam, Eretz Ba Noladu, Eretz Ba Nichye, Yeh Masha
We answer responsively on the bottom of page 20, continuing through to 21 for a better time. With joy and thanksgiving, we celebrate again the anniversary of Israel's rebirth in its land.
recalling the heroism and dedicated labors of all whose efforts led to this achievement, we are filled with pride, respect, and inspiration.
We ask your blessings, Adonai, for the state of Israel, for the land of Israel, and for the people of Israel.
Bless the defenders of the land who guard her frontiers, watch over her homes, and protect her people.
Bless the leaders of Israel with wisdom and courage. Grant them vision and dedication.
May they be strong in the face of danger, resolute in the face of challenge, wavering in the search for a lasting peace.
May the people of Israel enable her to be a beacon of hope for those who are oppressed, an inspiration to those who are free, a source of light in a troubled world.
May we be among those who faithfully resolve to encourage, to strengthen, and to support the land, her people, and our heritage.
Fulfill in our time the ancient promise, cherished as a sacred hope for generations.
They shall abide in peaceful habitations, in safe dwellings, and in quiet resting places.
Zion shall be redeemed through justice, and her inhabitants through righteousness.
Baruch atah Adonai, hapodeh Zion, ubaneh Yerushalayim. Praised are you, Adonai, who redeems Zion and rebuilds Jerusalem. Amen.
Amen.
We will be concluding in a few moments our service with Bashana Haba'ah, another tremendous Israeli song that speaks of hope for the year ahead. Bashana Haba'ah, in the next year, in the coming year. And it's a melody I think all of you know. But we have some announcements, and I'm going to give one announcement and then. So I regret to report the passing of the father of Amnon, Aharon Ezer Zal, who died in Israel. We all send our deepest sympathy to Anis and the Aharon Ezer family. It has obviously been a difficult last 8 months since Amnon's passing. And Zichrono Libracha, may the memory of his father be a blessing. I further regret to report the passing of Diane Ruthman, wife of past President Jerry Ruthman, Zichrono Libracha. Diane had been active in so many aspects of HaYam, offering her home for fundraisers and for hospitality before suffering from the effects of Parkinson's. I remember her being always pleasant and upbeat and kind and warm. I remember officiating when she and Jerry renewed their vows. It was a beautiful, wonderful evening of family and friends and joy and love and kindness, really. So all of that, just the moment you stepped into the room. So it is with sadness that we remember her, and Rona Libracha, may her memory be forever.
Indeed. We are going to meet again tomorrow morning to continue our Shabbat celebration in honor of Israel. It's going to be another Israel-style service, although really it will be more of a sing-along. Rabbi has prepared many, many wonderful Israeli songs, many of which we know, many of which he will be showing to us either for the first time or reminding us of how many wonderful, great songs there are about Israel. That Shira B'Tzibur, the Israeli sing-along, will be tomorrow morning here at CAH, 10 a.m. It will be live streamed as well for those who want to join us online. After that, our next Shabbat services will be May 5th and Saturday, May 6th at 7:30 p.m. and 10 a.m. respectively. That will be here in our building and also live streamed. So however you want to come, you are welcome. We will enjoy that Shabbat together. Our classes are going to keep going as scheduled. My class, Snapshots in Jewish History, is going to be on Israel this week in honor of Yom HaAtzmaut, which takes place Tuesday night, Wednesday during the day. That class will be Tuesday night next week, 7 p.m. And after that, the classes will continue at that time. Tuesday at 7, we will continue into the America portion of the history snapshots. We're getting close to the end of the history, actually. So thank you to everybody who comes to that class. On Wednesday, we're going to have Scholar Stream at 9 a.m. Those who have registered, you have the links. To those who have not registered and are interested, please talk to Rabbi, myself, or Brenda. We can get you the information you need. It's always a really, really good talk, a good class, you could say, lecture. On Thursday, Rabbi's class on Heschel is actually going to be canceled. Will continue at a later date, TBD. And then on May 7th, coming up real soon, we've been saying it for a while, but now it really is almost upon us. We are going as a congregation to the museum, the Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. The exhibit is entitled Auschwitz, Not Long Ago, Not Far Away. It's the only place, I believe, on the West Coast where this is showing, and it's gotten excellent, powerful reviews. In the wake of Yom HaShoah, it's really important that all who can go should try to go if they can. Those who have tickets will meet here at CAH at 12 p.m. to drive to the library and form carpools to go to the Auschwitz exhibit. Thank you to those who RSVP'd. These tickets are not always easy to get for a group. The Significant Jewish Book Club is going to take place on Wednesday, May 10th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. The book is Can We Talk About Israel? It's another appropriate choice considering what we have done tonight. The book is by Daniel Sokach, and it's a great way to learn about Israel in an easy to understand way that is balanced, and certainly that will be illuminated even further by Fran to those who go to the class. Even if you don't have time to read the book, You can go and you can expect to learn a great deal, and friend will be grateful for your contributions as well. Once again, that's Wednesday, May 10th, 7 p.m. Board and ritual meetings will take place on Sunday, May 21st. The ritual meeting, 10 a.m., Sunday, May 21st, and the board meeting at 11. It's going to be on Zoom. If you have anything to add to the agenda, please email Brenda for the board and Neil Abramson for the ritual meeting agenda. Please make sure to email them no less than 3 days prior to the meeting. Remember, anybody who wants to can attend these meetings, but only those who are members of those committees may vote. That does not mean that we don't want to hear what you have to say. Please, we want to hear your ideas and contributions. And finally, Shavuot is coming at the end of May. We have this Omer that we count every year. Today, as Rabbi said, was the 16th day. So we're getting towards that Shavuot time. More information will be released about Shavuot in the May bulletin. And for all of those bulletins and so much more, you can find it on congregation.HaYam.com. Please visit our website. Thank you so much. And we look forward to these great events. We're going to do Kiddush now. And if you can do so comfortably, please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher chidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים. בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. You may be seated. And yes, Phil, it is grape juice. Thanks for the warning, because sometimes I don't know till it hits the tip of my tongue. Although really you can't go wrong, can you?
Before we conclude with Bashana Haba'ah, which is in your booklet on page 22. Just want to announce that May 6th service that Mayan mentioned will be a special service where we will be saying farewell to Mayan. He's been with us 2.5 years. And he is going to be going to Israel next year to be studying at the fabulous, fantastic Pardes Institute, which is really an incredible opportunity and place to be. And we want to be able to spend time thanking Mayan for his presence and leadership and gifts that he brought to us for these past 2.5 years. And to celebrate his going to Israel, which we're celebrating tonight, and to say farewell. So please come if you can. May 6th at 10 a.m., our Shabbat services will feature a special Kiddush in Mayan's honor. We're going to conclude then with Bashana Haba.
בשנה הבאה נשב על המרפסת ונספור ציפורים נודדות. ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. ענבים אדומים יבשילו עד הערב ויוגשו מתבוננים לשולחן. ברוחות רדומים ייסעו עליהם הדרך עיתונים ישנים וענן.
או תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. או תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. One more time. או תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. או תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
Shalom.
And Chag Sameach in advance of Yom Ha'atzmaut. A wonderful, happy, joyful Israel Independence Day. Am Yisrael Chai. Shabbat
Okay.
Shalom.
Did we mention yet how